In June of 1892, Homer Plessy purchased a first-class ticket on the East Louisiana Railroad and sat in a designated white-only section. Mr. Plessy was considered a free person of color because he was only 1/8 black and 7/8 white. However, when the Jim Crow laws were established in the 1870s, he was no longer a free person of color. In 1890, Louisiana passed a law that segregated public facilities, including the separate cars on railroads, for white and colored races. Because of this law stating that blacks and whites had different facilities, Plessy was asked to move to the designated blacks' car. He refused to move because he felt that the state was demolishing his 14th Amendment right, which claims that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens. Plessy also believed they were violating his 13th Amendment, which stated that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States. Mr. Plessy was eventually arrested and taken off the train and went to court. The hearing wasn't until 1896 when Homer Plessy went up against Judge John Ferguson. This case became known as Plessy v. Ferguson. Unfortunately, Plessy lost the case because Louisiana's court depicted the separate but equal law was constitutional because it provided separate but equal treatment of blacks, and that equality did not mean blacks and whites had to socially mix. Although Plessy mentioned his 13th and 14th Amendment right, the court failed to mention the 14th Amendment, but they indicated that the separate but equal act implies a legal distinction between races and therefore does not conflict with the 13th Amendment. It wasn't until 1954 when the case of Brown v. the Board of Education argued that the Plessy v. Ferguson case was unconstitutional because the segregation laws violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Although Plessy lost his case in 1896 and the nation remained segregated, as society evolved, people understood that separate but equal did not mean equal for all people.